Um, they all deal with, I believe, they all deal with ordinance 28, and one of them deals with also ordinance 36, the mining ordinance. Before we begin, it's customary that we introduce, everyone in the room introduces themselves. I'm Phil Harder, of Planning Commission.
Lindsay Cartwright, Planning Commission member.
Heidi Hansen, Planning Commission.
Mike Elton, Planning Commission.
Wade Morris, Planning Commission.
Alex Schultz, Planning and Zoning.
That Soil and Water Conservation District. Kayla Harder, Minnesota Historical.
Jennifer Rankin, Minnesota Historical Society.
David Breezy, Minnesota Historical Society.
Tom Apple, County Commissioner. Arm Peterson. I have on the old Bill Hunter, like. I'm going to Steve Salentini.
Aren't you Salentini?
Okay, thank you for all being here today. With that, I'm gonna call to order we tabled that, so, bring back to the table the, conditional use permit hearing submitted by Darren Haugen. We've already read the legal notice. He gave his request. Darren is not here today. He had a family funeral that he's attending and is out of the area. I think at this time, I'll ask if anyone on the Planning Commission has any questions at this joint time. Otherwise, I think I'll open the meeting to public comment. And I know we have maybe Alice can direct that. The Historic Society has requested to give us some information on view shed because that's an integral part of this decision, so. Alex, pull that curtain down by the window.
Yeah. Other side, at least.
You guys see that little?
Yep.
The other one. Can you get them other lights down by the other door? No. Use this one over here.
That's. Okay.
You want me to, I can. Go against mine.
Yeah.
That's actually.
Do it that way as well.
You guys see that okay?
Yep.
I guess you can see the color on this screen, so if you guys can see that screen. So yeah, we just wanted to come in and kind of, present the, results of what we have been looking at as far as the viewshed analysis. This isn't the first time that we've had a viewshed analysis completed for Jeffers petroglyphs. So we're just gonna kind of run through this real quickly. Just some background, you guys are all very, very familiar with the Jeffers petroglyph site. It's a site of significant importance, in Minnesota and also across the country, for the fact that we're seeking a national landmark, designation. The site dates to as early as 10,000 years ago, with over 7,000 petroglyphs that we know that are on site. We know that there's quite a bit that are buried. So the site has a lot of archaeological significance, but also has a lot of cultural significance to the indigenous communities that are present today. So this is a site that we open up not only for public interpretation, education, but also traditional practices for many of our indigenous colleagues anywhere from Minnesota, but also out of state, come to this area. Another point before I get to the viewshed analysis, as you guys all know, the site has had a history of just community stewardship within, the neighbors, in the Cottonwood County and the local community. This site was first recognized, in this area. As Minnesota was becoming a state, there was a lot of archaeologists and other community members that brought this site to attention. And since the 1800s, the site has been studied in various different ways. And in some cases, our history with the Minnesota Historical Society and Jeffers petroglyphs is pretty recent. For the longest time, this site was stewarded by community members, and bringing that to attention to others. And it wasn't until the 1970s that this became into the hands of the Minnesota Historical Society. So a lot of the preservation efforts that have led us to this point have been kind of mirrored what what has been happening in this county. And David, I don't know if you want to add any more to this because this is a bit more here. Kayla.
I mean, we could talk about like Florence Rover, and West Bacher throughout the 50s, really bringing attention to the site, to the county and into the region, and trying to make it, a national park, but then ending up in the hands of the Minnesota Historical Society.
And so just a few things and kind of why I'm here. So I'm the director of archaeology for the Minnesota Historical Society. And in my role, I oversee kind of, things that are happening for archaeology across the state. That is under the Field Archaeology Act, which is Minnesota State Statute 138.37 through point 42. And basically anything that relates to the archaeology for any non-federal public lands, we oversee to ensure that qualified archaeologists are working with the different sites and so forth. Another one that's also very important is the Minnesota Historic Sites Act. For the Historic Sites Act, it establishes that state historic site network and the State Register of Historic Places that actually applies both to Jeffers petroglyphs. One of the other parts of that act is that it also directs the Minnesota Historical Society to manage various historic properties and requires state governments, state departments, agencies, and political subdivisions like Cottonwood County to consult with SHPO and others before undertaking any projects that might impact any historic locations. And as I mentioned, Jeffers is listed. It is a state historic National Register property. It is also a federal National Register historic property, and also is listed in state statute as a historic site. In addition, we're also seeking a National Historic Landmark nomination because its significance extends beyond Minnesota. And then another one to kind of just be aware of is the Private Cemeteries Act. At this time, we don't have any known burials directly in the site, but that's something that we don't survey or look at sites in an entirety. Part of the work that we do is preserving for the future generations in case something occurs. So at this time, we haven't done much ground disturbance within the site, but there's always the potential that there could be different cemeteries that exist within the site. So just a few of the state statutes that help us preserve and conserve the landscape at Jeffers County. So moving on to the viewshed analysis, I don't think this is actually the best viewing of this point. This is going to be actually really hard for you guys to see. But basically what we've been doing is, like I mentioned before, there's actually already been studies done for viewshed analysis for the site. That really kind of got started in 2020, associated with some of the wind farms, where there's been various different viewshed analyses that have been completed. Over the last couple of years, we continuously update those types of viewshed analyses. And so what you're seeing here that you really cannot see on this screen, but you might actually be able to see this in a little bit more detail right here, is we've done a viewshed analysis with just the sites. And what you're seeing with kind of this yellow area and more so with red area, that is basically the viewshed of what areas can be seen across Jeffers whenever you stand at different locations. And what we do during a viewshed analysis is we take that and go to different spots to determine what is viewable and what is not. Like I said, this you guys are actually going to have a really hard time seeing this on the screen because it looks like it's almost a little bit black and white on the screen, but it's actually cutting out the LiDAR image on this screen of what you can see. And so this is basically the basic overall. And the imagery that we presented here was back from 2020-25. And then we also took different viewpoints from what you see from the visitor center, but also the main rock outcrop, and then also the north trail. That is an area that we were concerned with, especially with the communications tower going up, because that's an area that is one where all the petroglyphs are and where most people are interacting with the site. It's pretty close to the boundary line at there. And so when we did the viewshed analysis, we took it from all different locations as part of our continuous monitoring and maintenance for the site. But for this analysis specifically, we focused on 4 key areas, and that was the visitor center, the main outcrop where all the petroglyphs are located, and the north trail area. And so I apologize, this is really going to be hard to see for you guys. And so what we did here is this is the view when you first introduce the communications tower to this. And what this yellow represents, which is not shown on this slideshow, is that with the incorporation of the communications tower, this area in yellow is everything that's now visible with the current communications tower. I think this is an image and map. I think, David, you shared previously on an earlier meeting, the yellow one, yeah. And you can kind of see, and I use this photo right here on the right. This is a photo before the communications tower went up, and I think that was in 2025. And at this point, from the same location, the communications tower actually would be within this photo. This photo was actually taken by a photographer who came to do a spread for National Geographic. If this was, this time now, the communications tower would actually be in this photograph. And the next slide, just a few images. The image on the left is the image that we took in March 2026 when the communications tower showed up on site. The map in between, this is from the visitor center area, shows kind of where the view shed exists from the visitor center. And then on the right, again, really, really hard to see because there's something going on with the photographs. But that red circle is where you can actually see the communications tower from the visitor center. So whenever the public comes to the site, they can actually see the communications tower when they come out of the visitor center or whenever they enter the site. On this next slide, this is the analysis that is associated with the North Trail. Again, there's a lot from this image that is missing, but if you look in detail, and I can actually send these slides later, You can kind of see where, what areas are visible, with the communications tower in place. And then from the photograph, and that's that red circle that you can't see from this photo right now. That's where the communications tower is present along the north trail of the site.
Can we take a moment and break to Commissioner?
Yeah, if you guys would want to see this.
Coming up. The photos.
You guys are able to see this here. So this is from March 2026. And this was also taken from the visitor center. Yeah, that's the yellow represents everything that is visible from that communications tower. So if I was standing at this location right here, the tower would be in view. And then next one here, so this is the one that's taken from the North Trail. And so in this location, again, this is the different approach from the analysis that we ran in GIS. And then this is the communication tower that is right there. And then on the next slide, this is actually from the main outcrop. So this is actually standing at the point of the main outcrop. You can kind of see it's different viewpoint from what we're seeing when you stand on the rock. And then you can see the communications tower, and that's a group of students that are taking a tour of the site. Scoot back. And that's the general view shed analysis that was conducted before. That helps us understand kind of what visual impacts we have, but this is without the actual tower itself. So you can kind of see what the analysis creates here, then without the tower and what is already existing in our view shed. As you can see this here. So this is the view shed as it stands right now with the introduction of the 60-foot tower. So everything in yellow, this is the map that David Greasy shared, I think, in a previous meeting. So anywhere that you stand at any of these one points where there's yellow, that's where you can actually see the communications tower. This is that photograph that I was talking about that was taken prior to this, whenever the National Geographic photographer was in place. If you would have took that photo now, that communications tower would actually be visible at this point.
And then this is looking straight north, right? Are you looking straight north?
So where's this picture?
We're actually looking northwest.
So we're in that one in the middle photo, where's the tower? I don't even see.
Actually, this is before the tower. I'm going to show you guys then the next few slides here. So this is the tower whenever we identified it in March 26th coming up. And this is actually the same time, and this is actually from the visitor center. And this is what the view shed analysis shows at that time.
And you're looking, so you're looking from the visitor center, you're looking
Yeah.
actually northeast.
Yes, and actually that might almost be directly north.
So when was that photo taken?
That was taken in March 2026.
So how long is that tower actually in the summer solstice? Well, how many days is it in?
Yeah.
In the summer solstice?
Hey, David, is that a question you can answer? I've got a solstice question.
So yeah, summer solstice is a 3-day window. From, generally from the 19th to the 21st.
So it's only a 4 day.
But that's a direct cultural impact.
Right, I got you.
For ceremonies that happen on that day, but there's an impact all the time. And there's an impact in another way. Jeffers is a traditional place where people come cry for a vision. If you've ever heard of the Vision Quest, that ceremony happens at that spot. And as a part of that ceremony, when you're coming out of it, the things that you see determine your spiritual life from that point on. And seeing a tower, there is going to be a detriment to their spiritual journey.
And then if you go to the next slide here, this is from the North Trail, looking towards towards the tower. And again, this is the different version, this is the GIS version from standing at that point and what's within the view shed.
My other question is,
Yeah.
where was that tower previously? Took it down and put up anyone, how was that in relation to where we're at sitting there today?
Yeah. What tower? His former tower?
Yeah.
His former tower was further back. It was towards the east. It was visible, but not as visible as where this is.
It was associated with the actual parks that complex where there was lots of structures and buildings, so it was associated, so it was already kind of an existing where it previously was. And
So
so
how far is it from that not to his, where it was we kind of distance?
I would, I'd be ballpark, and it'd be like, a football field.
Oh, that's okay. All right. Just some questions I had in my head.
And so, yeah, this is from the main outcrop, looking towards it. Again, this is a different view, and this is kind of one of the higher points. That's where we see a lot more of the ceremony happening with indigenous communities. What we have here is, yeah, that's part of a tour group, I assume an educational group that is passing by along the North Trail. But that's kind of one of the main points where we see a lot of the petroglyphs being positioned. And then I think what I showed them a little bit earlier here. So this is everything after the tower went up. This is the view shed. This is the view shed analysis that doesn't take into account for the tower and the height of the tower. But this is just the general overview of the view shed across the site. And so when we did this type of analysis, we took a series of 9 different points where we ran the GIS modeling for a view shed analysis. And so basically we took from each point what the view shed would look like, across the whole site during a mile radius.
I think we fixed the issue.
Okay.
I think it was a contrast issue.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks a lot better. Like maybe you can be able to see what you want to see.
Yeah, we can switch, maybe we can adjust this a bit more once we can.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I get range
It's also-
there with the way to get have like a.
I think you could just leave it on one of the pictures that.
Okay.
So.
So if you need to, you don't have to go into that.
That would, yeah, that's what we have.
And I never, I forgot it. So that's-
That's okay, thank you. Hopefully you can at least see the horizon. There it is. Yeah, the colors. Okay, so you can at least see the horizon. That's good.
So if you guys can see that, I'll just run through these, but I think, is there any other slides you guys want to see a little bit more detail on?
Good.
That's. And so, yeah, that was the slides I was gonna present here. Wanted just to talk a little bit more kind of, this is kind of something that is very, very critical, is kind of preserving the view shed. You've heard from us, quite a few times, about different types of projects and our desire to make sure we maintain, that view shed for the different practices. But I think also for, visitorship, we have a lot of visitors that are coming, through Jeffers, Petroglyphs, and Michaela, and David can talk more about that if there's any questions about that. But also educational groups, that is something we see a lot of school groups from the from the community and across Minnesota that come to Jeffers. So it's of utmost importance that we maintain that view shed for that. And I think and also kind of our efforts too in pursuing the National Historic Landmark nomination. That is something that we will have to communicate to the program with the Park Services that we do have preserved or we have potential impacts. And so that is something that comes up. I don't think that is going to cause us any harm for our nomination, but it's something that we have to identify as a potential impact to, our nomination process. And as I mentioned before, is we're very interested in pursuing that Road Heritage nomination that also is in partnership with Pipestone National Monument and other partners for Jeffers and kind of the larger region. So those are all things that are still kind of in the works. I think education continues to be one of our number one drivers for ensuring that the preservation of the site continues. And I think the last little thing, and I don't know if you have it or I do have it, one of the most exciting things that's coming up this year, and another reason we wanted to do this presentation is this year we are launching the new curriculum for social studies for grade 6 across Minnesota. That is for the Northern Lights edition. And chapter number 2 is where we teach students about indigenous communities and the prehistory of the region. And Jeffers Petroglyphs is featured heavily in chapter 2. So I wanted you guys to actually check this out because this is actually hot off the press. Right now, social studies teachers across Minnesota are coming to MHS to get training for the new curriculum. But I think one of the coolest things about Jeffers and in this area is that this is actually going to be featured very, very heavily in the social studies curriculum for the state. So I think that's actually amazing. So any questions that you have for us?
Thank you. Turn on all the lights.
The question, did these guys get to hear her answers to Wayne's question?
Sure.
I can hear over here. Gotcha.
Oh, let's see if this works.
Okay, did that.
That works. I got my degree. All right.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. I think our public comment period is still open. Is there anything else that you received?
I did not, no.
I'm not sure where we left it last time, but any other public comment? And close the time of public comment. And when we left the meeting, the first time we met with Darren, we were looking at his request was that this tower was temporary. He was replacing a grain leg on his farm site, which, looking at the map, I'd say it's maybe a quarter mile from where the tower currently sits back to where his grain site is. And he put the tower up without a permit, which in ordinance 28, telecommunication towers require a permit. But so we're doing this kind of backwards, but that's where we're at today. And his request on his application for the permit was temporary. It was gonna be temporary use in a matter of a few years, so that's something we're gonna consider too, is the time, maybe a time frame for him to remove the tower. But does anyone else have questions? Otherwise, I think we'll go through the findings of fact, which we did not do last time.
Correct.
Anyone have any questions right now, either on the presentation from the view shed or just the knowledge we had from the previous?
Feeling a little blind. I wasn't at that meeting.
Sure.
So was
Yeah.
there information that I Should be more aware.
So the word was thrown around last time, temporary.
Mhm.
What that defines, I don't know if we defined, nobody defined what temporary is. Therefore, I think we need to start, first of all, maybe there, but then my other question is, if we pick a time, what that means, how are you guys gonna react to that finding of, is that adequate, not adequate? That time frame to remove that tower. His intentions, I understand, is not to keep it there. He wants to move it to his existing, back to his existing site once the grain leg is back in place. So that's where I think we need to start with this conversation, but
Yeah, we want to have that conversation before we do. I suppose we should,
I
yeah.
think we should.
I think public comment, but we move into that. I did reach out to Darren in good faith as the commission suggested to find and talk about relocating the tower and what that looks like. And in that conversation, he made it known that he had no intentions of moving the tower at all, that he had changed his mind.
Going off of that, I think we should also bring up what Darren's response comments were where he left, or before when he emailed yesterday. We should probably discuss that as well.
Right, right. And I did, after Darren sent the email that Alex is referencing, I reached out to Darren since he was not gonna be here today and had a discussion with him on his plan, and his plan is still to move the tower back to his permanent site on his yard when he gets his grain leg back in place or replaced. Just for my own sense, I just, I mentioned to him, we might be looking at, I might consider 3 years to be a time frame that we would allow him to get that kind of work done. And in our conversation, he was agreeable to that kind of time frame. I'm not saying that's what we're gonna do, but it's something we can consider. We know that in Darren's email, and I think in probably his conversation with David, he's one that likes to kind of make threats about what he could do or what he would do if he doesn't get his way. I don't wanna bow to the words of say a bully that just makes threats so they get their way, so with that in there, but I also think that we can work with him on a time frame that works, kind of for everyone. And he did seem open to that after I kind of got him down off of his reaction to the Historic Society and maybe some things from the further past that maybe none of us were there for that happened with the family I'm not aware of, but there could be things in the past that got him to this point in time. But so that's where I'm at with that, talking with Darren on Monday and after Alex forwarded his email to us. I think his email, he said, you want me to read the email or just?
I think you can summarize it.
Okay. He has 5 points here. The first one is, he said they did call me, meaning the Historic Society. They want it moved or they want the tower down or moved. He said, I voiced my opinion that it's a power grab, which is kind of what he liked to say, and they'll do anything to stop any progress in the neighborhood.
This is okay.
Yep. I messaged back and asked for a proposal in writing, but never got a response. I did ask if it's moved, are they paying me to move it? And they didn't say they would. His second point, like I said, they want to mess with my business and my land, so that's, his personal feelings coming out. I'm willing to play along too. I could turn the top field into some CRP or crepe land, rim land for hunting and plant it full of trees that would block the whole view of the ridge. He also talked about storing old machinery up there and scrap, but that might run into some of the junk yard laws that the county has, so, but he did threaten planting tall trees up there. His third point, he said that they're gonna give a slideshow at the meeting, and he assumes it will be biased and focused directly on the tower and not the whole view from over the ridge, which I think we did kind of look at a whole view, but obviously the tower is the central point of our being here today. He said that their drawings from the first meeting were bogus, that it can't be exactly in the line of the solstice, and that he could move it 10 feet and then it would be out of the line, but I'm not sure that it's that minute of a line. That's my opinion. So he said the summer solstice is passed this year, so it's not gonna be an issue for a year. He consulted his lawyer and was advised if there weren't any easements in the abstract or title opinion, they should have no right to stop this, which maybe contradicts the, county ordinance. And then number 5, if the tower needs to be moved, it will not be moved until after harvest is over and he can get his crops out of the field. And then it would have to be a taller, if it was moved further away, because he's on a high point, it would have to make up for that distance, or that difference in the height of the ground. He did have a question at the end, does the Historic Society or petroglyphs pay the county taxes like I do? He said, I'm not sure, but I don't think so. Then you want to know, are we penalize a taxpayer for someone who doesn't pay taxes? Well, that's not why we're here today. So, I looked at the ordinance, Monday. Do we have a copy of it here today or not? Yeah. Yeah.
We can look something up.
It did talk about cultural, environmental aspects with, it's one of the first points. No, in the ordinance on the telecommunication towers.
Yes, yeah.
And I think he does have multiple subscription services on his tower. The one part of the ordinance is that a telecommunications tower has to have a minimum of 3 separate subscription services to be put up. So we don't have all these single service telecommunication towers put up, and if it does, when it's put up, it should also have room for additional. That's not part of our discussion today here because it's already there. So I guess that's what Darren's email said in my conversation with him. So move on from there. Is a 3-year, if we were look at, just say a 3-year time period, Darren seemed agreeable to that. And is that something that you could work through that time frame?
Okay.
Okay.
So this, permit, if it's approved, it would go on his entire quarter. So if we were to approve it and we would make the condition, for it to be removed within 3 years and placed specifically
On his
on a specific area,
within
that's what we want to do. And if it's not done and if those conditions aren't followed, then we're liable to pull the permit. The county's supposed to pull the permit, and then you won't have any tower on regardless on any spot on his property because he's not following the conditions. So it kind of works. It's kind of it works both ways for the advantage of him to have a conditionally permitted tower the right way, and for the petroglyph site to make sure that it's back to where it was at a certain time frame. So I would think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, I assume that his future grain thing where this grain leg is gonna go is located on his farm site.
I would assume it's, I mean, without knowing his property specifically, but
Yeah.
in the spot where the old one was, because it would be central to
Ties all
where
those
his
bins and
bins
stuff.
were.
Yeah, I would say that you'd have to define it such as his parcel, but then even define it further within that farm site, just so he knows he's gotta stay within those boundaries, so he doesn't interfere with that going forward. If that's granted, the 3-year commitment.
Gosh.
Do we know the height? Is the height?
We
the
don't
height?
know the height of his new grain leg. You know, that's, I don't know if he knows yet. I guess I didn't ask him. His old one was 100, I think he said 106 feet, his old grain leg. I didn't.
And you can see that right now from the,
Well, he has it down, the whole green thing's down.
oh, okay.
Yeah, but previously, yes, you could.
You
see
could
it.
see it previously.
So let's go through the findings of fact. Maybe I'll first some other questions and.
In granting a conditional use permit, the Conroe County Board should give consideration to the advice and recommendations of the Planning Commission and the effect of the proposed use upon the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the occupants of surrounding lands. Among other things, the Planning Commission shall make the following findings where applicable. Question 1. Has it been determined that this use will not create excessive burden or hazard on existing parks, schools, streets, and other public facilities and utilities which serve or propose to serve the area? Wayne, start with you.
Yes.
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 Lindsay,
I'd have to say no. My yes was because of the conditions we would put on the permit, that it would, you know, it's a temporary thing, so that's why I said yes, but understand Lindsay's point too.
Lindsay, would you have a reason for saying no?
I don't think it has been shown that, it's not going to create a excessive burden to, the petroglyphs. And, there has to be a reason behind what we have for that burden. And I don't think that's been proven one way or another right now.
Well, I have. You don't think it's been shown it is or is not an excessive burden to the petroglyphs? Correct.
Yeah, I think that's really what I'm looking at, yeah.
Yes, all right. Question 2. Will the use and appearance of the site be sufficiently compatible or separated by distance or screening from agricultural, residentially zoned or used land so that existing homes and adjacent residential properties will not be depreciated value or adversely affected? Wayne?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, and that's because it's temporary is why I'm saying it.
We're looking at just residential and houses. So we're looking at a different application on this question. And I'm not
We're
sure.
talking money here.
Still part of it is,
Right.
you still gotta read it.
I don't know what
I'd say yes.
the nearest house is. Either. It probably has a distance to the nearest house that.
Nearest house is his own house, I bet.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
That one won't count.
Question 3. Has it been determined that the proposed use will not have a detrimental environmental effect?
I would say if we go off of that definition of temporary, then yes.
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 Lindsay? Question 4, has it been determined that business or advertising signs will not be visible to adjacent dwellings?
Yes.
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 Question 5, is the use, in the opinion of the planning commission, reasonably related to the overall needs of the county, the existing land use, and the county comprehensive land use plan?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Have we reviewed the county's comprehensive plan?
It's agriculture, right?
What the Jeffers petroglyphs is asking for. What is it,
You should.
the view shed? I mean, is that part of the county's comprehensive land use plan?
The comp plan wants, comp plan wants the county to make decisions based off of making sure that all of the research has been done. As far as petroglyphs are concerned, all the research has been done. It's kind of, it's based off of one of those, I think, Minnesota state statutes. Probably the historic site. Yeah, it's, the comp plan wants you to do things based off of all the research that is available to you, based off of the petroglyphs.
Okay.
This being temporary, it's tough for, I'm not gonna be able to say yes or no for it, or, have my opinion as yes or no. As far as the ordinance goes, a telecommunication tower is conditionally permitted use on Ag 1 land. So that in particular, in my opinion, would say yes. As far as the comp plan goes, if we started throwing EAWs into it, then I would say no, but I don't think, in my opinion, this would require an EAW for the temporary use and for where it's at. I don't know if an EAW actually cover this kind of analysis that would need to be done.
I see what you're saying, Alex, though. And it's also a temporary use, and that's one of the conditions that we would put on this thing, right?
Yes or no?
Yes.
Any other findings on any of these first 5 questions besides temporary? The fact that it is temporary and it's on Ag 1 property. Ag 1. Keep on going. Question 6. Is the use consistent with the purposes of the zoning code and the zoning district in which the applicant intends to locate the proposed use? Wayne?
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Bill?
If we were looking at this, and the tower wasn't there, I might say no. One of the parts of the ordinance, the zoning code, the ordinance says to minimize adverse visual impacts of telecommunication towers and facilities through careful design, siting, landscaping, and innovative camouflage techniques. So, if we were looking at a temporary and if it wasn't already there, I'd say no, but, I guess I'll still say no because it would be what I would say, but.
Say no. What is it? What's this kind of
It's summary.
What's that section?
It's section 24, subdivision 2. Number 3.
Subdivision. 2. Is that the telecommunication?
That is the telecommunications section.
Question 7. Has it been determined that the use will not cause a traffic hazard or congestion? Wayne,
Yes.
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 Lindsay,
Yes.
question 8. Has it been determined that existing businesses nearby will not be adversely affected because of curtailment of customer trade brought about by intrusion of noise, glare, or general unsightliness? Wayne,
I'd say yes.
Yes, temporary, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have to say no, but because it's temporary.
I think that's the hard part about this whole thing. If we look at it as permanent, it would be one way. If we're
Definitely.
looking at it as temporary, we're looking at it in a different way.
Being that we are proving this with the temporary exclusion in there, that should be how it's based, not without the temporary. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Heidi, would you say no or yes?
If it wasn't temporary, I would say no, but because it's temporary, I will say yes. So that needs to be strongly put
Yes.
in this, that this is temporary.
Yeah. Bill? Lindsay?
Yes.
If all answers are yes by a majority of the planning commission, the criteria for granting of a conditional use permit have been met. Conditional use permit will maintain the goals of the health, safety, and general welfare of the public.
Okay, thanks, Alex. It's been determined, it's the determination of the chair that the majority of the planning commission answered yes to the 8 questions. If anyone disagrees, please respond. And we will move on. Are there more questions that we have of this or more discussion? We want to feel the
Just make sure the wording is sufficient for both sides, that way we both understand what we're putting on paper for this temporary, so we're both on the same page. I think we'll be good.
I'll make a motion that we accept with conditions to be followed.
I'll second it.
Okay,
I have a question for the historical society people. What is your vision for a reach of your, what's it called, view shed? View shed. Are you going to look at a town nearby and say, we have to shut this town down?
Like, so when we worked with the Big Bend Wind Energy Project, like, we worked with them to set about a 10-mile parameter. But they're gonna be even more intrusive. They have, 600 plus wind turbines.
Yep.
Initially, they wanted to be right next door, 2 miles away, but we're looking at a 10-mile buffer. You have Plum Creek, that's just right outside that 10-mile buffer that we didn't comment on because they were outside that zone. But I mean, it's something that we'll also have to work with our neighbors, like Darren, because it's not gonna be 100% possible to do that. But as much as we can protect the view shed, we want to.
Right now, we're dealing with a tower that's obviously in a view shed. But what about something on a smaller scale, like a fenced in area? Okay, you look at the fenced area, and that would be possibly in the view shed.
I mean, if it was in the view shed and it created harm, it would be something that we'd have to talk about.
Yep.
But Like it's, you know, something that we approach on a case by case basis, It's something that we even have considerations in our own organization when we thought about bringing bison to the site. Like would, you know, fencing be a view shed, you know, detriment to our site, just in us doing it. Like that's
Yeah.
conversations that we have as well.
So we, in that letter, if you stated about possibly if he planted trees, how does that come into play? If you went up to the fence line and planted the one big row of tall
I mean,
trees?
we can't stop him from planting trees, and who's to say that he wasn't already planning to plant trees? I can't control how he plants trees.
Yeah, just curious.
Yeah,
I don't think we can stop just regular permitted uses, you know, from someone doing just something that's permitted from the county. This is a conditional use, so that's why we
Yeah.
have hearing about it. But if something's permitted, like putting the fence up, you know, it's permitted. You don't need a for it. So,
Right.
So we have a motion on the floor by Heidi, seconded by Mike, to recommend to the Cottonwood County Board of Commissioners approval of the conditional use permit submitted by Darren Haugen with conditions on a subsequent motion. Is there any discussion on this motion? Discussion, all those in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Now we will put conditions on the permit. We have our standard,
I would say that comply with ordinance 28. And then we can also put obtain
permits and fees
all necessary federal, state permits and fees,
and local.
local. Cool.
We need language on the
I think-
term. time.
You draft the verbiage for the, what word we can, say what's gonna be the temporary and have both parties sign that agreement so they're both clear of when that temporary ends, when, you know what I mean? Or do you think that's too much?
It has to be approved by the next commissioner meeting. And if I don't think, I'm gonna put it into the hands of the landowner to agree.
I don't think they have to agree to it. The conditions are the conditions and they have to.
I just.
Sign it by the
So
next
everybody's on the same path.
I would recommend, you'd say, you give a specific date, say 3 years, let's see, August 31st, 2029. Where the tower would be moved to a spot on the homestead. Is homestead a good word? Coming from the, like, where, I mean, as far
The
as.
building site.
Building
site.
Okay, because I don't know, I don't want him to say, oh, I'm just gonna make a building site. You know,
The current,
98 feet to the north of
The
the.
present
say
building.
the present current building site, you know, the current building site as of today's date.
You said August date for removal, because then that would.
Well, I gave an example, that's a bad example, because probably should be, before or after harvest,
I'd say November 30th.
November 30th.
That's what I would pick.
Yeah, because, he's.
Or, you know, you could say December 31st also, you know, the end of 2029 by December 31st.
Okay, so, I would say,
I don't think any of those affects any of their houses from that point. After
Between August and
August.
August 30th and December 31st.
Oh, no, this is concerned that interfere with this.
Right, yeah,
Oh.
okay, yeah.
So I'm gonna say, the condition of removal of
Temporary tower or
the temporary tower, or telecommunications tower to be,
On or before.
I think the tower and any accessories associated with it could be, I think he has a solar charger up there.
yes.
Do we need to have a height on it, this tower?
Because he's gonna say it's the height's 110, but like how do we know for sure where that company's gonna want to put it?
Right.
Removal of the temporary telecommunication tower and any accessories associated by December 31st,
129.
2029. And then, another, a fourth, let's see. Yeah, a fourth, condition to be, a new permanent tower will be placed. You want
Within
current
within the
building.
current building site.
Okay,
Constructed.
a new.
Permanent location for the tower.
Permanent location to be placed.
If he puts the tower, the receivers and transmitters on his grain leg, does that need to be permitted?
So this,
I know we're,
building permitted, yeah, or like a
Right.
building setback
Right.
permit, yes.
because it's not, it's communication, but it's, you
Yeah,
know, the purpose of the tower wasn't communication tower, so.
and the conditional use permit goes with the land.
Right. Yeah.
So unless we don't put,
Yeah.
if we were to not put this
Yeah.
condition in there, you can put it wherever it wants. Once this gets approved. But a new telecommunication tower, permanent location to be placed within current building site. Should we specify on grain leg or just say
No.
current building site?
I just put current.
Okay. Okay, so that would be four conditions. He's got five grain bins out there. And it's pretty easy to tell what the building site would be considered.
Yeah, I mean, the grain leg is gonna go, I can't see him moving everything the way he's got it. Just looking on the Google Maps and it's gonna be on that look, you know, he's not gonna move everything. He's not gonna move everything despite the petroglyphs. I don't see that
Right.
happening. He's not gonna spend $1 million just despite the petroglyphs. It's,
So, yeah, so comply with ordinance number 28, which telecommunication towers. Obtain all necessary federal, state, and local permits and fees. Removal of the temporary telecommunication tower and any accessories associated by December 31st, 2029. A new telecommunication tower, permanent location to be placed within the current building site. And I might even should specify like the south or the southeast quarter.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't hurt.
I'll say
sign
that
the
as,
parcel, the
He
parcel.
tried to get wild and crazy, tried to move his boundaries and say, well,
The partial
parcel
identification.
it's half of that, what, 80 acres of land or something, we don't want.
Well, we've got current,
And
As you said, current.
Current.
sites.
current west,
today.
I'm just saying, that's again, there's a vague definition,
Yeah.
current today, yesterday, 10 years ago.
Is it feasible for us to ask for communication between Darren and the Minnesota Historical Society so the communication lines stay open instead of just?
I can ask, but I don't know if it's gonna be a condition, it's gonna be needed as condition because what, you know, if Darren passes or something like that. Is that not following the condition is if he doesn't communicate? That's like that kind of technicality. I don't know, I would say you suggested, but I don't know if you put it as a condition.
I just like communication open rather than Darren just doing something or I shouldn't
Well, the permits. are gonna
specify
say that.
one side or the other, but both sides need to communicate. And if there's a concern on one side or the other, it's not healthy not to communicate.
It's also in healthy communication. And you do communicate, and I know that the communication was a bit healthy communication.
Yep.
You can say no. Do you have any comment on that part, David? If you don't, that's fine. Just, okay, that's fine, yeah.
Middle man. Works for me.
We have 5 conditions?
Is that the communication gonna be a condition?
No,
No.
We have 4.
4 conditions.
Yeah, 28 federal, state, local permits to be removal of the temporary, permanent location of the new one.
Within the building site.
Yeah, building site, and I'm gonna specify, I'll tweak it a little bit, make sure that it's a specific southeast of the southwest quarter
Yeah.
section, blah, blah, blah. Before the commissioners approve of it.
I'll make the motion with the conditions of approval.
For a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved by Mike, second by Wayne, to set the 4 conditions with the conditions use permit for Darren Haugen's, telecommunications tower. Is there any discussion? Discussion, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Have anything else for this hearing? This hearing is adjourned.
I'm gonna have to excuse myself.
Okay, do we take that much time?
I have an election judge.
Lindsay's election judge.
Good luck.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Okay, our next conditional use permit hearing is, Kyle Ludwig. We'll call to order the conditional use permit hearing for Kyle Ludwig and ask, no, this isn't a call, this is a continuation. I'll bring back to the table the conditional use permit from Kyle Ludwig. And
Thank you.
no, thanks.
Thanks.
You can get hard copies of chapter 2.
Well,
Oh, you guys can-
Yeah, you can have that.
No, you guys, if you want to take it out.
Take
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll get you when it's gonna be in print here, so you guys can have one for the library.
Sounds good.
Kyle, do you have anything to bring to us today that?
Well, not really to speak of, other than we've filled out the application to get a, what do they call it, mounds review, and they have not, to my knowledge, done anything yet. I did talk to Isaac on the 5th, I believe, last Friday, Thursday or Friday. I talked to him and he told me exactly the same thing he did on the 30th of July or 30th of June, which was, he's really busy and he's just got done with a week of vacation. And then he sent, it must have been, maybe that was Thursday, and then he did send an email back asking for us to resend the application. So we resent it the application on Monday morning. As much as I've heard.
So Kyle, what kind of time frame are you looking at to say, I gotta be in there?
I would very, very like say October 1st or something. So we can prepare for the next year, next season, as of now, I'm not in a big hurry. If it would have got approved, we would have mined gravel right away. For the stuff we had for the season, we are down to a couple hundred loads, we're fine.
If you're still waiting for them October 1st, whatever,
Yeah.
when you want to get in there, are there areas you can work that wouldn't be something they're gonna be looking at? Or, what I'm saying?
To me, the whole thing,
Yeah.
but,
Thanks, Tom.
the, one other thing I don't know if there's a certain area, one thing we potentially could do after the crop was harvested, I wouldn't think they'd have a problem with anything that's been being farmed for the last 50 years, but, cause there is material under the farmland as well. But we were gonna try to get there later, let them, let them farm that for now. Kind of get started in the more pasture wasteland area and stuff too. And we would like to start on that end too, so our water goes the direction. If we dig a hole to the south, that's gonna mess up our whole water situation, so.
And we do have to think about what he applied for
Mhm.
as far as that exact area right there, the acreage right there. There's always those issues like where is the EAW minimum threshold and, stuff like that.
A lot of this land has been just previously disturbed by, within the last 100 years for sure. There's been an existing pit there to speak of, not. I've only been on this earth for 46 years, so I can't speak of all of it, but you can see where.
Yeah,
it has been.
up in this more northern.
Yeah,
northern part where you can-
there's a previous spot.
Yeah, you
but-
can see the big hole here, but then it
Yeah.
looks like some of this,
but what
even
we
within
need to
your
do is
area
we need
was.
to remove the soil
Mhm.
off of all of it, basically. We're gonna do is just make that all mine there, so. I don't know, I guess I'm a little bit frustrated with they answered their phone. I called them, made contact with them immediately after the meeting. And I talked to two different individuals there and they both, very good. They wanted the application sent to a specific email that all the people could see it. And I don't know, I called for a while there. I called many times and nobody answered the phone or returned my calls. That's the only thing I'm frustrated, just that. He acted like he was maybe gonna get after it when I talked to him last week. I haven't heard from him since, so.
I have also not heard of anything.
Yeah.
I suppose we haven't opened public comment yet, but there hasn't been any communication besides Kyle.
Yeah. And that's what, if you look at our emails, and we specifically said, if you need anything, if we're missing something, please let us know what, if there's some legal stuff that's missing. And, actually, I got the letter for the meeting. I just assumed they had come and done their job and told Alex and things were gonna go on here, but. So.
I'm a little bit behind.
Yeah.
Who are you contacting?
We're,
It's in BSAC.
yeah, my
So there,
cultural resource, Minnesota
Okay.
Indigenous Cultural.
There was questions that there could be
Burials.
burial sites, could be buried.
that's why we tabled it, because they would get in touch.
Oh.
And they would
Do a
get
survey.
something going on a study and LiDAR and all that stuff, and they haven't really done anything about that yet.
Okay.
So we tabled it until now, and we have to make this, just like Darren's, we have to make a decision on. It's coming up on 120 days.
Sure.
So that's all we get, so.
And I didn't call anybody today.
No,
That's why I
okay.
called him last week to.
Yeah.
I just thought maybe, he made it act like he was gonna get after it and maybe try to have it done by today. So. It's just a pretty simple application. We just, tell them. They already have this,
Right.
resent it to them. Just,
They know the location.
The lo-
they know
yes,
everything,
yeah,
and
right.
It's just.
And I don't know how, I think originally they told me it would take maybe 2 days. That's what they told me when I first.
My recommendation would be, we make a decision on this today based off of a condition that says, say we approve it. Approval, as long as the, study comes back. And if it does come back where there's suspected mounds, proper setbacks be taken.
And that's what he communicated with me, that they, if they did find something that they would, unless the whole area was full of it, that there would just be a setback. And,
If there was a corner, they.
yeah, please stay
Yeah.
100 feet.
Yeah.
Say a specific number.
Okay.
That he would.
Like I said, this is below the EAW threshold. This is not something that we would have to do a phase 3 survey on or anything like that. In fact, this is not for archaeological finds, this is for burial. So it's kind of two different things. Two different state departments cover it. Or, yeah, they cover separate things, so. That's why it's a little more, I wouldn't say laid back, but it's more of a, all right, he only has to go through one hurdle as opposed to go through a full 3-month survey, field study, drilling holes and everything like that. So,
I believe when we left this one also, we did not review the findings of fact.
correct.
Well, let's do that and then, move this one along.
Wasn't try to open up.
Okay, yeah.
Close that.
Open the, we need a public comment. Did you receive anything, Alex? Anyone else have anything to say? Then I will close the time of public comment and ask Alex to read us the findings of fact.
Question 1, has it been determined that this use will not create excessive burden or hazard on existing parks, schools, streets, and other public facilities and utilities which serve or propose to serve the area?
Yes.
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 Question 2, will the use and appearance of the site be sufficiently compatible or separated by distance or screening from agricultural or residentially zoned or used land, that existing homes and adjacent residential properties will not be depreciated in value or adversely affected?
Yes.
Yes.
3, has it been determined that the proposed use will not have a detrimental environmental effect?
Yes.
Yes.
4, has it been determined that the business or advertising signs will not be visible to adjacent dwellings?
Yes.
Yes.
5, is the use in the opinion of the planning commission reasonably related to the overall needs of the county, the existing land use, and the county comprehensive land use plan?
Yes.
Yes.
6, is the use consistent with the purposes of the zoning code and the zoning district in which the applicant intends to locate the proposed use?
Yes.
Yes.
7, has it been determined that the use will not cause a traffic hazard or congestion?
Yes.
Yes.
No. Oh, I'll change my mind to yes.
Okay. Question 8, has it been determined that existing businesses nearby will not be adversely affected because of curtailment, customer trade brought about by intrusion of noise, glare, or general unsightliness?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All answers are yes by the majority of the planning commission for the criteria for granting of a conditional use permit have been met. Conditional use permit will maintain goals of the health, safety, and general welfare.
Thank you, Alex. Determining for the chair that the majority of the planning commission answered yes to the 8 questions. Anyone disagrees, respond now. And we'll move on. Any more questions or take a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Been moved by Wayne, seconded by Heidi to recommend to the Cottonwood County Board of Commissioners approval of the conditional use permit submitted by Kyle Ludwig, with subsequent motion, conditions on a subsequent motion. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All same sign, that motion carries. For conditions, we have ordinance 2836.
Yep. Comply with ordinance 2836, all necessary federal, state, local, permits and fees. Bond needs to be, issued. It's essentially $1,000, it's an acre,
With a $5,000 minimum.
5,000 minimum, and this is, 4.9 acres, so 5,000.
We want to put anything in there about if any,
Yes,
something's found that, like.
Be a setback.
You talked about a time period for, when the results come back from the survey.
maybe, how do you guys want to say that?
Excavation, I mean, we can say excavation shall not commence until the, I don't know what, the survey from the, whatever the initials are of that, MIAC or MIAC.
Yeah.
Till their survey comes back, And then if something is found that area would, that they determine needs to be set back would be on mine.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say excavation will commence when a mounds survey is approved. Is it MAINAC?
Yes.
And then I'm gonna say, if mounds are detected, what's that, located, proper setbacks
Will be observed.
will be,
By
proper setbacks will be applied. Oh, and dust control plan. Which I think he already has in his.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a dust control plan in there just because.
And did you have a road maintenance plan too with
Yeah.
it? What dust control and road maintenance plan?
Dust
Everything,
control.
talk about that.
Yeah, we have to Amo Township.
The appropriate road authority, if we call it. Oops.
All right, so I have 28 and 30, comply with 28, 36. All necessary federal, state, local permits and fees. Bond issued of $5,000. Excavation will commence after the approval from IAC. If mounds are found, there's gonna be a setback applied. Dust control and road maintenance plan with a road use authority, or local road authority, so six conditions be.
I'll make a motion that we accept it.
I'll second.
Moved by Heidi, seconded by Mike to apply the 6 conditions as listed, stated to the conditional use permit for Kyle Ludwig. Is there any discussion? Discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed, same, that motion carries. Anything else, Kyle, Alex, for this one?
Nope.
And this hearing is adjourned. Thanks for coming today.
I'll have this,
Thank you for your time.
I'll have this sent down Tuesday. Tuesday, the commission meeting. You don't need to go to that.
And you'll just continue waiting, I guess.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
We're rattled a little.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Last but not least.
I'll go to the public hearing for a conditional use permit submitted by Steven Salenti. Is that correct, Salenti? Salentini. I was looking for the name and I couldn't find it, so I was just trying to guess. Sorry about that. Salentini. Alex will read the legal notice, please.
The application has been submitted by Steven Salentini, requesting a conditional use permit by Conroe County Ordinance number 28 for a single family dwelling on shoreland. Parcel property described as part of government lots 5 and 6 in the southwest corridor of section 30, Southbrook Township, Conroe County, Minnesota. A public hearing to consider said conditional use permit will be held by the Conroe County Planning Commission on August 11th, 2026 at 12:30 p.m. Hearing will be held at 1012 Fifth Avenue at the Clark Library Room. For any questions, please call 507-832-8287.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for waiting here and your time today. If you want to just tell us kind of what you have planned and where at and the location from the body water and those types of things. So.
Hoping to build a new home and got the map there and do it. I think it's like 1,000 feet from the lake shore.
Yeah, it's very, very far away. It's within 1,000 feet, but it's like 500 to 700 feet away. It's Talcott Lake right there, just south of Talcott Lake, east of the campground.
It's within 1,000 feet. That's why it's within shoreline. That's why you're here today, but it's still, the distance is, significant. So.
Yeah.
So we're looking to moved there, we already have an existing building there that's more of a hunting cabin, or it's a, certainly you could live in it and full time, but it would be kind of small, and we had either adding on to that or building new nearby. And I guess we're kind of looking at that because it costs about as much to build new as go in and remodel something. And it would still be a useful building for someone could stay there or whatever, hoping to stay far enough away from the other buildings so that they could not interfere with each other.
Currently, they're within the same parcel. Currently, they're in the same parcel.
Same parcel. I know that parcel is listed in different government lots, but I think these two are in one of them. Yes.
Is it in the picture? Is that the current one in this picture? That's the current.
Looks like there's a
Little closer to that.
halfway to
Yes.
Currently have any, electric, sewer, water on the site? Or we bring that in?
Yes, electric is right outside the door of the existing building, and then there's another one coming across. Well, it actually starts across the Highway 62, and then one goes to the existing building. And another one goes down to the Kaufman County Park, or Falcon Park. So there's plenty of electricity. We have Red Rock rural water on site. And we have an existing septic system for the initial building, but we've been advised to build a new septic system for the new structure because it would comply with adding on to it.
I just got the email from Becky yesterday that there's approved septic
Okay.
design already for this house.
$42 by 90, 44 by 92.
What's your distance to the county park from a half mile, mile?
Out there, quarter mile. And they have the shore down there nearby, and nobody camps there. If you're familiar with it or not, it's, you drive through there, you can fish, it's bedtime at the beach, and I think that's owned by the DNR, and it's a lease. They've got the first 300 feet, then there's a fence, and then it's maybe 500-600 feet from that fence.
Is the public access past your driveway, or is it further toward the county park?
Further west.
Okay.
So that blue line, that's 62 then. 62.
Come right off of 62, basically.
I live a mile and just east of the property, so west in Murray County. So we're the last place in Murray County and corner there, so all counties made up. So being that this property give us an opportunity to live then where this property is, and then our son and his family would move into our home operation as cattle and crops, but at that point, so we're still close enough to help and work too. So, if you give me this for to get off the farm, I would appreciate that, but.
So you have some trees here currently? Is that what I'm seeing in this picture? There's trees.
DNRs, so we have pasture, we have lots, just to make it look like it would if you walk out. Wouldn't be farm, there is farm ground there that's currently being farmed, but yeah.
Would you be putting in a new driveway then?
Share the one that's there.
Share that?
It drops off just west of this driveway drops down quite steep down to the county park entrance. Find where it is, but I wouldn't want to be right on the crest of that hill, so
Sure.
we would leave that alone.
Currently it's right across the driveway from what was Dwayne and Lee Kirtner's.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So it is just at the top, so that is a very precarious hill between that and the corner of Dundee. A
Oh,
lot of
okay.
semi traffic, so we're somewhat thinking of some of that because we've got a lot of trucks and a lot of grain trucks. Rerouting.
Yeah.
Because of that bridge,
Bridge is up.
so it's a lot of movement up there as well. And then same time coming past, going past, there's a couple different routes, so very busy at that end of the county if you're.
So we put that roundabout there.
Yeah, thanks, yeah.
And that'll be here, it's just gonna be a.
I don't know, it's in the talking.
I don't want to say. Yeah. Well, there's a problem there, I don't know if that'll fix it.
Yeah, I don't know. But there's, right,
We watched your cattle pot just run right across it in front of us one day.
We were on 62, but they just come off the top of the Jeffers. I don't know what kind of signs,
yeah, I know what you're talking.
I would assume, sorry, this is besides the point, but just because of this conversation, sorry, I got a minute. That their companies would have told their drivers, or there would be meetings and safety.
I just think part of that issue is that swampy area with those trees and that bottom down there, you can't see to the east very well. And all of a sudden the car gets stuck behind. I think they have to slow up. You know what I'm talking about?
Any other questions right now? We'll open the meeting to public comment. Receiving public comment, close public comment and do the findings of fact.
Question one, has it been determined that the use will not create excessive burden or hazard on existing parks, schools, streets, and other public facilities which serve or propose to serve the area?
Yeah.
Yes.
Two, will the use and appearance of the site be sufficiently compatible or separated by the distance or screening from agricultural or residentially zoned or used land, so that existing homes and adjacent residential properties will not be depreciated in value or affected?
Yes.
Yes.
Distance.
Has it been determined that the proposed use will not have a detrimental environmental effect?
Yes.
Yeah.
Determined that the businesses or advertising signs will not be visible from adjacent dwellings?
Yeah.
Yes.
Five, is the use and the opinion of the planning commission likely related to the overall needs of the county, needs of land use, coming after plan?
Yeah.
Yes.
6, use consistent with the purposes of the zoning code and zoning district, which the applicant intends to locate proposed use.
Yes.
Yes.
7, has it been determined that the use will not cause a traffic hazard or congestion?
Yes.
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 8, has it been determined that the existing business nearby will not be adversely affected, challenging the customer trade, rub off by intrusion, noise, glare, or general unsafe.
Yes.
Thorough evaluation of water body and topographic vegetation and soils conditions on the site must be made to ensure: 1, the prevention of soil erosion or other possible pollution of public waters both during and after construction. 3.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
2, the visibility of structures and other facilities in public waters is limited.
Yes.
The site is adequate for water supply and on-site sewage treatment.
Yes.
Yes.
If all answers are yes by a majority of the planning commission, the criteria for granting a conditional use permit have been met. The conditional use permit will maintain the rules of health, safety, general welfare of the public.
Thank you, Alex. The determination of the chair that the majority of the planning commission answered yes to the 11 questions. Those that please respond. On to motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, been moved by Wayne, second by Mike to recommend the Cottonwood County Board of Commissioners approval of the conditional use permit submitted by Steve Margie Salentini with conditions on a subsequent motion.
Yeah, I suppose we'd have to put a receptacle.
Yeah, we got, well, let's this one first.
Sorry, I had the ball.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Conditions, we have our standard ordinance 28, federal, state, local fees and permits. Some sort of a refuse container, it could be a dumpster, it could be anything to just for refuse during construction. The erosion control measures, silt fence or what were the things we used last time,
And silt fence is probably the biggest, most common thing we use, but it's tough to even justify a silt fence. I would just stick with soil erosion control measures.
just so, soil's not moving into the lake.
Yeah.
Which maybe there's enough, flatness there, but you don't want the beach to get a bunch of, black dirt on it, so. Erosion control measures, Wayne, you had,
Yeah, you already covered it on the refuse container.
yeah,
That's,
5, 4,
28,
fees,
Russell State local
container,
container,
erosion control.
erosion control. That's
I'll make a motion that we accept those 4 conditions.
Second it.
It's moved by Heidi, second by Mike to set the 4 conditions on the conditional use permit for Salentini. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign, that motion carries. Any other questions? This will go to the board next Tuesday, and you don't need to be there. You do not need to be there.
Alex.
Alex will present.
send you out the permit. You already applied for the building permit. Yeah. So it'll all be done.
Yeah, thanks.
Can I ask them with this conditional use permit? And because it's been taking a while to get contractors, to get everybody in line, is there a deadline or is there a time frame then? Because
Not for this.
if something
conditional use
catastrophic
permit.
changes, we're not available to build, is there something that we have to process?
The conditional use permit is good with the land for as long as person stays that first. The building permit has an expiration date of 2 years. So the building permit is, that's gonna be the $100, take 5 minutes to fill out kind of deal. As opposed to this conditional use permit, you don't have to go through this process to get into this house. Anything else built here, we're gonna go through the same process, but
Setbacks, that is the one that's temporary.
Contractors.
Yeah, you never know.
Hearing first Salentini.
Yeah, you got to learn a lot today.
You got minutes here for my.
Oh, minutes.
no, it's
Recorded for memorization.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Betsy. Minutes from July 30th, 2026. That was the Olson. Olson,
Also,
house in Shoreland. You want to make a motion to approve?
I'll second it.
Moved by Wayne, second by Mike, to approve the minutes from July 30th, 2026. Any discussion? Those in favor of that motion, say aye. All the same sign, that motion carries. Anything else, Alex? No. Meeting of the Cottonwood County Planning Commission is adjourned.
Yeah, well, did you feel it? Yeah.